Ooh. Oh baby, Seagrass is back. My rye of the year for 2021 is back, but with this beautiful 16-year age statement and in a very bougie box. Also a bougie price tag coming in at $250 retail. Is this 16-year Seagrass $160 better than the younger $90 version? Let's find out on the Mash and Drum. What's up, folks? I am Jason Steve from the Mash and Drum. Today we have the Barrell Craft Spirits Gray Label Seagrass, which features 100% Canadian Rye whiskey, aged for 16 years, meticulously sourced, and finished in Martinique rhum, Madeira, and Apricot Brandy barrels, bottled at a hefty 130.82 proof. It's definitely a beautiful presentation. Take a closer look. So the original Barrell Seagrass was released in March of 2021, which was a blend of American and Canadian rye whiskeys, finished in those 3 distinct casks, which won awards all year long in 2021, including my favorite rye of 2021. Now, Barrell Craft, we've talked about, they blend products that explore different distillation methods, barrels, aging environments, and bottles them all at cask strength. They are blenders, they own it, they are transparent, which is always welcome in a time where new releases by sourcing and blending is becoming the norm rather than just a trend year after year. Barrell Craft Spirits 16-year-old Gray Label Seagrass is bottled at 130.82 proof and now available at select retailers within the brand's current 48 US markets with a suggested retail price of $249.99. Let's try it. So we're obviously gonna compare it to this one and see how much better it actually is than a regular. You know, sometimes when a more expensive variant of a successful bottle comes out, you know, sometimes it's to the detriment of this bottle because they made that one so good that to try to make one even better than that or worth such a high markup, that's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of consumers. But let's dive in. Here we go. Immediately you get Granny Smith apple and I get pear. Like poached pears. It's very, very syrupy, very sweet. There's a lot going on there. A little maple syrup there, I think, too. Remember, you have the Madeira, you have the rum, you have the Apricot Brandy. There is some fruit flavors that come out here. Yeah, that poached pear note, like poaching pears and cinnamon, just like cinnamon syrup. I can't really get it out of my nose right now. This is the first pour. Remember, the Seagrass for me, every time I went back to it, you know, for that bottle, it always changed. So I could imagine this would do the same thing here. As this opens up, man, now more of the Apricot Brandy's coming through. Get some of those grapey notes. Definitely more oak I'm getting on this one than I remember getting on the regular Seagrass. Again, we're gonna compare, but that Seagrass, the regular Seagrass had more of a strawberry, bright candy type of nose. This one is just coming off darker and richer. It's very complex on the nose. I'm very much digging the nose here. Yeah, this is all it's just maple syrup, pear, cinnamon. It's a little bit more savory on the nose than I remember too. Not as sweet. Getting a little bit more of that, you know, the rye spice coming through. Not because, remember, the original Seagrass was a mix of American and Canadian. This is all Canadian rye, so I think you're getting a little bit more of that on the nose too. Let's see what we get on the palate. Here we go. Oh, holy hell. So in the beginning, this hits you. I got that strawberry note that I remember getting in the original Seagrass. I got that strawberry note, but it went away pretty quickly. And then it made way for all this spice, cardamom, black pepper. Wow. You get more of the rum characteristic on this one. I get the maple syrup. I get some like fruity strawberry pineapple notes going on here. The striking part about this whiskey too is the viscosity. It is super rich. Man, another sip here. Yeah, I'm getting these bright like flecks of like mint and spice. Allspice. Even like a slightest hint of like star anise. You know, you get that tiny hint of like a licorice type note. But man, it's all blended with this fruity characteristic. What I'm getting on this one that's recognizable, that I remember from the original Seagrass, is the sweetness. But the sweetness is you only get it for a little bit of a moment in time on the front of the palate. And then all the oak, the higher aged, the herbal qualities, the 100% Canadian rye, those flavors start taking over. Let's do one last sip here, then we're gonna do a quick compare. On that one, I got a little like a little touch of like anisette liqueur. Again, with that apricot, little hint of like that strawberry, the rum. It all comes together really nicely. Again, the biggest difference with this one from what I remember is that you're getting more of the Canadian, the herbal qualities and the spice to this one, whereas I feel like this one is more sweet. But let's pour it and test it. All right, let's do a proper, oh man, the finish on this one, by the way, is ridiculous. The finish goes on for days, the viscosity, it's really good. All right, let's compare these now. Let's go to the nose real quick. The nose on this Seagrass is actually a little subdued now compared to this one. Not to say it still doesn't smell great, but you definitely get the maple syrup here. You get the sweetness, more of the apricots coming out. You know, I remember this having a good nose, but the palate was way better than the nose. Let's go for a sip of the original Seagrass. Oh man, yeah, all sweet, all candy, rum, apricot, strawberry. That strawberry note is still there. You get the rye spice, this nice lingering finish. It's so good. I'm gonna have to take another sip of this one. And again, every time I go back to this one, there's something different. Now I'm getting like it's getting a little bit more like a saltiness to it, maybe like a coconut to go along with that strawberry. The spice is still there. This has like this lingering finish that I think is what sold me for my Rye of the Year. Not that it was just so unique. All right, let's go to the 16 year here. Now on the nose, you definitely pick up the darker, richer flavors here. The nose, I would say, is much more inviting and more complex than the nose on the $100 Seagrass. All right, let's go for a sip here. Oh yeah, but yeah, as I bring my nose to the glass, you start getting more of the rum, and you start the rye, that 100% Canadian rye. The star anise flavors, a little bit of anisette, and a little bit of the maple syrup notes. They're really coming out now. All right, let's go for another sip. Yeah, they're really different. I mean, this one is definitely more on the sweet side when you're talking about the $100 Seagrass. Sweeter, a little bit lighter, more on the fruit forward side, a little bit salty, maybe a little bit more tropical too. The 16-year Seagrass, you're getting that sweetness, but it gets held down a lot by the Canadian 100% rye, the spice, the herbal quality. I will say the viscosity and the finish on the 16-year variant is a lot longer than the $100 Seagrass is. I mean, that's as best as I could break it down when it comes to the differences. Let's go to the final breakdown on the Barrell Seagrass 16-year Gray Label. All right, final breakdown for the Barrell Seagrass Gray Label 16-year price, $250. Definitely a high price there. Secondary, I've already started seeing these on secondary, just a couple, few and far between, for about a $425 to $450. That's just crazy already for this bottle. It's already priced pretty high. For availability, I'll say it's good because it's available in 48 states. Not really sure how many bottles of this there were. Couldn't really find that information, but you also have some online options, and also I'm not sure if it's still available, but barrelcraftspirits.com actually had some of these on sale as well. So when it comes to value, this one was a little bit tough. I can appreciate the age statement being 16 years. I can appreciate the fact that they use 3 different casks to mature it in, and obviously some older whiskey. But I think when people see 100% Canadian rye, that in part could kind of, you know, put some people off a little bit. There are some high-aged Canadian whiskeys available, maybe not to this degree or this quality, but definitely on the cheaper side than $250, so I'll just say below average. Most I'd pay, I mean, obviously retail, I don't want to pay more than $250 for this, but I really do wish that this was more in the $160 to $200 range rather than $250, you know, $280 by the time you're done with tax and everything. It's a lot to spend, especially when your $100 Barrell Seagrass is so damn good. All right, is this a recommend? And it really comes down to the question, is this $160 better than the regular Seagrass? I don't think it is. It's good. It's a phenomenal whiskey. If you have the means and you want to spend $250 to $300 on this bottle, you will not be disappointed. So for those of you out there, it's a recommend. But for those of you that have the regular Seagrass and are happy with that, happy spending the $90 to $100, I think you're fine with it. I wouldn't recommend spending the money if you're on a budget. It really just speaks to how good of a job that Barrell Craft Spirits did with the regular Seagrass. It's so good, so up there, such a good value, I think, that it's tough to ask people to spend $250 to almost $300 for this bottle. Like I said, if you have the means, if you want to spend the money on this, you will not be disappointed. It's a delicious, delicious whiskey. Like I said, goes into more of the savory notes, goes into a little more of the spice rather than the sweet. But if you have the Seagrass from last year, you'll be fine not getting this or spending the money on it if you don't want to. All right, guys, well, hope you enjoyed this review for the new Barrell Seagrass Gray Label. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the subscribe button below. Please hit the like button. If you haven't yet, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter. Let me know if you've had this, if you're willing to spend the money, what you think of it. And as I always say, it's not about the whiskey, it's the people you share it with. Cheers. See you next time right here on The Mash and Drum. Take care, everybody.